Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB, Zack Brown. Got another good episode for you today, recapping all of this past week's racing action. Heading into this week, looking ahead, we got I-55 with the World of Outlaws. You got Michigan coming up. We'll cover all that with Crew Chief Corner. Getting the new power rankings for this week for the NASCAR Cup Series and the World of Outlaws. So let's get into it. We're just going to kick it off like we always do with the NASCAR Cup Series. Just finished their race at Richmond. Pretty boring race, if you ask me. They still haven't figured out the short track packages here with these new cars. The bigger tracks, they put on really good shows. These short tracks, there's no cautions. Not a whole lot of even really bump and runs. There's slight bumps, but not a whole lot of runs. Once somebody gets the clean air and gets in the lead, they're pretty much gone. And that kind of stayed to be true in this one. Strategies played out, and you had certain people dominate early, middle, and in the end. Bubba Wallace was looking like the clear-cut favorite in the beginning of the race, but some small errors on pit road fell back a little bit. And then the second stage, Brad Keselowski ends up winning. But the third stage was really all about Chris Buescher. Led 80, I think it was 83, 86 laps, something like that. And there's a late race caution. I thought, hey, that's going to be a really good restart. It really didn't matter. Chris Buescher was still out front and held off Denny Hamlin, who I think Denny Hamlin still had the fastest car all day. Oh, at the end, at least. Denny locked up the brakes and overdrove the corner going into one. And that was pretty much all she wrote there. And Chris Buescher ends up holding everybody off and gets his first win of the year and locks himself into the playoffs. So good on Chris Buescher, good on Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. Keselowski has obviously made significant improvements to improve the quality of the race team itself, and just the expectations were just elevated with Keselowski taking over. So congrats to all them. And I think you'll see some momentum out of the entire organization moving forward. But NASCAR still got to figure out these packages with short track. I thought it was a little bit better at New Hampshire, and then they put on pretty much what I call a snooze fest at Richmond. I don't really know what can be done. Dale Jr.'s alluded to getting rid of all the downforce on the back, taking the spoiler off. I don't know what you can do. Maybe some more tire fall-offs. I really don't know. It'll be interesting to see what NASCAR does in the offseason to see if they can improve this quality of racing, because right now it's just not good. The Xfinity Series, they were at Road America, and exciting finish, and Sam Merritt gets his first career win. There was a lot of questions surrounding Junior Motorsports and if they made the right move of having Sam Merritt be there, and they kind of thought this was a make-or-break year for him. Well, he locks himself in the playoffs now, and he's a NASCAR winner in the Xfinity Series, and now he's in championship contention. Lock himself in there into the first round of the playoffs. So congrats to Sam Mayer, and hopefully that silenced some of the doubters. The kid's got a lot of talent, and he just had to learn a lot more maturity and be able to be more consistent throughout the year. But finally getting that win, the chip-off was back. I think some of the pressure will be off, and I think you'll see him continue to improve. In the Truck Series, it was the regular season finale, and this was at Richmond, and they put on a better show than the Cup Series, I'll be honest. And maybe because it was a nighttime race, and I've been saying it time and time again, Richmond needs to be a night race. They've put on great shows when they're night, and I love seeing the races transition from daytime to nighttime and seeing how everybody can adjust to that. I think Richmond needs to go back to the Cup Series going to nighttime to have more fan engagement at the track and on the TV, because not a lot of people like this past race. But the Truck Series, with their season finale and seeing who will come away with the regular season championship, well, Carson Hocevar prevails with his strategy of having tires late in the final stage, and gets was able to pass Ty Majeski, who was on the strategy of not pitting, and staying out, and hopefully that was going to be enough, but he was about 5 to 6 laps too short on the calculation they had. And with that, Hocevar goes in with a lot of momentum into the playoffs, but Corey Heim gets the bonus points and gets the regular season championship for the Craftsman Truck Series. So congrats to Corey and that entire 11 team. All right, we're moving on, talking about the NHRA. We'll stay on asphalt, and then we'll go into the dirt racing recap, and then we'll go into our power rankings, of course. The NHRA at Sonoma, another great event for them. Beautiful facility there out in the wine country, they call it, Sonoma. Justin Ashley gets the Top Fuel win, and J.R. Todd is the funny car, and surprise, surprise, Gage Herrera gets the motorcycle win. So that wraps up the West Coast swing for NHRA, and we'll see them here in a couple weeks. They get a much-needed break, and yeah, be interesting. They're heading to Kansas as their next race. And going to the SRX, talking about that, of course, the pick that Dad had, and this is just his week for picks, I guess. Kyle Busch debuting in the SRX series, doesn't look back, dominates pretty much the whole race, puts himself in position to be up front, gets the win at the Motor Mile, and great crowd, great facility. It was cool to see. Again, the SRX kind of sucks. It starts the heat races at 9 o'clock. I wish, again, that was the main event. But, again, that's part of the TV deal, and it just kind of is what it is. But hopefully they get better ratings, and we'll see when they come out. But it's been exciting this year so far. SRX is, I think, a wide accepted success. So hopefully you'll see some more this type of racing moving forward, and hopefully you'll see some more motorsports on ESPN. All right, going into dirt racing, going to the All-Stars. The All-Stars had a huge week, 4 races in a row. The local guy for the All-Stars, racing against the All-Stars, wins at Benton. Derek Hagar, he upsets the All-Stars and drives away with the big-time win over everybody there. So I could guarantee you not a lot of people pick that guy to win, but congrats to him. It's kind of like how the posse will sometimes upset these big series coming in. So pretty cool to see that. Moving to Lake Ozark, of course, this was Dad's pick. Aaron Reitzel gets the win in dominating fashion, and looks like Aaron Reitzel's starting to get rolling now. Wasn't too relevant throughout the year for wins, but now it's he's been running up front this whole week. It was a great week for him, and so he takes that win and gets the 3rd annual Beach Brawl, is what they call it out there. So that's pretty cool. Heading to I-70, Buddy Kofoid gets the win over Reitzel, where Reitzel was looking to go to run down Kofoid, but Buddy had the best car all night and was able to get through lap traffic no problem. And Buddy Kofoid's been really fast this year too. So a lot of interesting winners and a lot of interesting racers getting these momentum going into Knoxville Nationals from a couple weeks from now. So it'll be interesting to see who will end up being the favorite for that. It's kind of up in the air right now. And, of course, they finished their week at Knoxville. This kind of gives a little preview maybe for them. For their sake, hope not, because Rico took the win from them. He took the lead about halfway and didn't look back and dominated that race. Rico's been hot, and he's been rolling, because what we're going to transition to right now is Rico gets the win in the High Limit Series. He just balls it in over Kyle Larson on a I think it was a later race restart, and Larson wasn't able to recover, and actually he was fighting to stay in second place over Brent Marks. So congrats to Rico getting that big win at Grandview. Rico is the favorite pretty much at every track he goes to right now. You got to look at him at the Knoxville Nationals as well, and we'll see who everybody picks for high limit coming up for tomorrow or later on Crew Chief Corner when my dad comes in. But Rico's got to be a favorite in every race, like I said. All right, we're going to end with the World of Outlaws. They rained out on Saturday, so basically they had their one race and it was on Sunday. It was the Empire State Challenge at Weedsport. And Dad and I both picked Gravel and Macedo for this weekend. Well, it ended up being Gravel and Macedo at the top two. And David Gravel gets the win over Carson Macedo. But Carson Macedo slowly making gains on Brad Sweet for second place in the point standings. And ever so slightly, David Gravel's extending his point lead. It's a whole 8 points now. But the impressive thing were both of the Blaneys in this. Dave Blaney drove up the whole way to podium finish in third, and I think if that race kept going on, he was going to be in contention to win that thing. He was fast at the end. And the Dale Blaney, he went for, I think it was 20th up to 9th. So top 10 finish for both of them, and obviously podium finish for Dave. So very impressive on their part. But got one more week of regular racing, and then it's into the Knoxville Nationals coming up. So we'll see how all that goes. It's going to be a big time event. Eldora was huge this year. Knoxville is going to try to make it even bigger. All right, the moment of the show everybody's been waiting for. The power rankings. Pretty decent shakeup in the NASCAR Cup Series power rankings for me. Outlaws, not too much of a difference on the power rankings. So let's start with the World of Outlaws. And here's what I had last time. And here's my top 5 going into it. So at number 5, I'm still sticking with it. You got top 10 finish. You got caught up behind Haudenschild in battling in lap traffic. Haudenschild kind of messed up going into a corner. Schatz had nowhere to go. But he still got top 10 out of this last race. So Donnie Schatz at number 5. And at number 4, staying in the same position he has been, staying consistent, Logan Schuchart. He's also 4th place in the championship standings. And at number 3, here's the difference. Last week, he gets beat by the second place guy, and still second place in the championship standings. But he moves down one spot in my power rankings, Brad Sweet. And at number 2, second, he's in 3rd place in the point standings, but his consistency is not to be overlooked. Been very impressive, and he can really hang the bottom if he needs to. Carson Macedo at number 2. Yeah, number 1, staying at number 1. The guy that's been the best all year, fastest car all year long, especially this mid to late summer, David Gravel. All right, the NASCAR Cup Series Power Rankings, 2nd edition. All right, here's what last week's was. Whatever side I just pointed to. Here's what this week's going to be. Big shakeup. At number 5, went through some poor finishes these last couple weeks. Bounced back in a big way with a solid top 10 finish. My number 5, Kyle Busch. And at number 4, falling a little bit down the power rankings this week. Did not have a good race at Richmond, but he's been fast week in and week out otherwise. So not going to take him out of the top 5, but I got William Byron, number 4. And at number 3, kind of coming out of nowhere at Richmond and getting another solid top 10 finish, maintaining that consistency in his last season, Kevin Harvick at number 3. And at number 2, making a big jump, arguably was the best car at the end at Richmond. Won Pocono, and he's getting really hot. Denny Hamlin at number 2. And at number 1, still got to stay with the guy. He had another top 10 finish, not even a good car. And that's what a championship team is all about. Martin Truex Jr. at number 1 once again. All right, everybody. Well, that does it for this portion of it. Let's get ready for Crew Chief Corner. But as you know, Crew Chief Corner is brought to you by Lickety Lou's All-Purpose Booyah Sauce. 3 different flavors, spicy, yellow, and the original, of course. Go check them out at licketyloos.com and see what they got for you. All right, let's dial them up. Let's bring in my dad, Jeff Brown, to Crew Chief Corner.
Dad, back at it. Another week for Crew Chief Corner. Welcome back. We're getting ready to start another week of High Limit. Hopefully the rain will actually race them on a Tuesday, but a lot of good racing last week, and we're going to get into it. High Limit at Kokomo. It's the rain date makeup.
Yeah. Kokomo, neat track in Indiana. Mostly non-wing stuff, races there. Quarter mile, bull ring. The surface there on video looks great. I mean, it's a racy track. I think you're going to see passing. I think you're going to see slide jobs. I think you're going to see, Dyson lap traffic. I think it's going to be a great race. I think that's a great track for the sprint cars. It's a small track, but it's wide, so you can pass on it. It's a fun little track to watch.
Yeah, we talked about it last time before they rained out, and we were looking forward to that. That might have been one of the first. I think it was one of the first weeks they had, if not the.
Yeah, I think it was like week 2.
Yeah, so definitely looking forward to that. Obviously, the big surprise, talked about it earlier, was Rico beating Larson. But today, when we're recording, is Larson's birthday, so I know he wants to have a birthday present and getting some wins this week. So, I guess without further ado, we got to go in with our the picks for the High Limit Series at Kokomo. So, who you got this week?
This guy's been the hottest driver around here lately. I got Rico. I'm going to spoil it for Larson's birthday.
I've got a little bit of a sleeper / dark horse here. I got to take a couple picks this week. I have dark horses. I'm going with Justin Sanders. That's taken over the 39M. Looked very impressive. And
he did look good.
He runs the crap out of that thing. So that will be interesting to see how he can run Kokomo. But I've been very impressed with what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with Justin Sanders, so that's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Definitely. So I think it'll be a good race at Kokomo, and I think they've got a lot more cars than this one. All Stars are off this week, so I think you'll see All Stars making some appearance here, and definitely shake some things up. Moving on, we're going to stay on dirt. The only looks like the only other dirt we got this week is the World of Outlaws at I-55. So tell me about this track. This is a pretty famous track in the country.
Yeah, they've been racing there a long time. It's a 3rd mile dirt oval. It generally gets really slick, it looks like, but it's one of them. The top can, right up against the wall, can be fast, or you better be hugging the inside guardrail.
Yep.
You get in the middle, you're going to sit there and spin, it looks like. But it's going to be one of them racy tracks where to pass, you're probably going to pull sliders on people.
Yeah. Well, the Outlaws kind of separate themselves basically to a 3-car race week in and week out. I mean, the big, I guess, spoiler, and if the race kept going, Dave Blaney was probably going to win that out.
Yeah.
He was probably going to win that last race. He was moving up there, and his brother was fat, had the hard charger, so that was interesting. But there's a couple Outlaws left, I think, and it's they're starting to extend their lead over the 4th place car in the championship standings. So I mean, you got David Gravel, Carson Macedo, and Brad Sweet, and there's I think a total of, at most, I think it was like 40 something points between the 3 of them. So it's again a 3 horse race right now.
Yeah, I think you're starting to see Gravel gradually start to pull away. I think
about a whole 6 points.
Yeah, I think right now he's probably week in and week out probably the best car right now.
Very consistent, yes. So I'll get the 2 nights back to back at I-55. Should definitely put on some good shows. I don't have a repeat. I don't think there's been a repeat this year.
No, I don't have one either.
And we picked the same ones, and it rained out 1 tonight, and our picks were 1 and 2 last week. So that's the drivers we had. So night 1, who you got at I-55?
Going to go. Maybe this is sort of a dark horse, but the $1 Million Man, Logan Schuchart.
Well, I mean, I think that's the one that's fourth place in the standings right now. So you really can't go wrong with that either.
Yeah.
He was slower off in the beginning of the year, but as the year's going on, he's gotten faster
he's
and
gotten
faster.
better for sure.
Definitely, and obviously, winning $1 million will give you a big confidence booster for the rest of the season. I've got a guy that's third place in the standings right now. Got second place last night, Carson Macedo. And night 2, who is your pick for that one?
Saturday night, it's 20,000 to win. So we got some big money on the line. This guy seems to have been showing up for the big money races outside the $1 million we just talked about. David Gravel.
Well, at least we have 2 different picks this week. For the second night, I-55, I've got the driver that's second place in the standings, the big cat, Brad Sweet.
It's a slick track. I could see Sweet doing very well. You know, I could see him hugging the bottom here at this track.
It'll be fun for sure. That's one thing the Outlaws have pretty much brought week in and week out, is especially the smaller tracks. Just a lot of fun right there. All right, moving on to I guess we'll go right into some asphalt. Let's get into the SRX at Berlin.
Yeah, Berlin Raceway in Virginia, 4.38 mile paved oval. This is going to be Harvick's final appearance of the year in SRX, and Casey Kane is racing his only race for SRX this week. I believe it's going to be another one of those bump and run type racing type tracks with those cars around that small track, which makes I mean, if you're not like Paul Tracy taking the field out, everybody likes the bumping and running, and as long as you're not crashing everybody, nobody gets too upset. So I think that's going to be another fun one.
Well, yeah. There's a difference between bumping and running and then completely taking everybody out week in, week out. And that was a big reason the SRX suspended Paul Tracy. I don't know how many days they suspended. Was it just one race, or is it the whole season? Or
yeah, I don't expect to see him back.
Yeah, and I mean, it's probably ultimately Tony's decision. If he doesn't want him back, he's not going to bring him back.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing that SRX has shown that you have to run two consistent heat races. You don't have to win both of them, but if you win it and you start last on the second one, you better make your way to about mid-pack. But I think you've seen it, if drivers stay about fourth, fifth in both heats, that's where you want to be to start the race.
Yeah,
because the passing's kind of hard to come by in the heats.
Yeah, if you can't pass cars, you're not going to win. So you got to be able, starting up front's nice, but you win that heat and you start back, you're going to have to pass a few cars. That at least proves that you're good enough to get by the cars to be able to win, and deserve to be able to win.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Kyle Busch is racing one more race. I think this is his race.
Yep, I believe Kyle's running this one, and Helio is running this race as well.
Okay, instead of Tony, he ran the last one too. So he and TK have been splitting reps this year. So all right, well, let's get into it. You got your pick right at SRX last week. I think you're undefeated with your picks in SRX.
No, I'm 1-1. I didn't pick
Newman the second.
I had Brad K.
Okay. All right. Well, who you got for Berlin?
Gonna take the low hanging fruit on this one. Bump and run, Ryan Newman.
Well, he's the point leader, and he's definitely doing be very consistent this year in SRX, and that's what it's all about. We only got a few races, so got to stay up front as much as you can. I'm going with the dark horse. Like I said, I got a couple dark horses this week on my picks. I'm going with former Cup champion Bobby Labonte.
Cool, and hope to see Casey make a good run. He's been struggling in kind of all racing this year a little bit. He had some good runs in the sprint car the last few weeks.
Yeah, like I say, he's shown up. He started in the back of the Grandview race and made his way up front. That was really cool to see, and ran pretty well. I think it was the All-Star race. I want to say not Knoxville. It was I-70, I believe. He had a good race. Yeah. All right. Well, there's no NHRA this week. We're going to stay on asphalt. We're going to move into IndyCar, and that's your background. IndyCar at the Nashville Street Course, and this is it's becoming one of the more prestigious races for the year for IndyCar.
Yeah, this one's neat, and this is where IndyCar is really missing their boat, where you don't know when this thing is on, and it can be hard to find this thing. And I really need to be mindful and try to catch this thing, because this is one of those. This is probably the most unique track I have ever seen. Just looking at the track layout, if you haven't seen it, picture the Big Dipper in the sky. On the one end, you got, it's like a square course, and then the other end is basically a small turnaround. And these two courses are connected by two long straightaways, which go across the bridge, which crosses the Cumberland River Bridge. So they're going to be going back and passing each other down this bridge, at 150, 60 miles an hour going across that thing. So that is really going to be cool. That's a wild thing. So like the main part of the track's down where the Nissan Stadium is.
Yeah.
And then like I said, it's basically a U-turn where they're coming back around and back across the bridge. That's cool.
The shot you have in the background, it's the lights are coming on and everything. Do you think that would ever be an option for these street courses to race at night? Because you got the street lamps and everything.
Well, I'm not sure where the street lamps is enough lighting to be when you're going that fast. If they brought in something, that would be freaking awesome to see that at night with the glow of the city looking like that.
That'd be very exciting. That would add just another element.
That would really be cool.
Amber alert.
Yep, we got an Amber alert here.
All right, well, the defending race winner, Scott Dixon, people were trying to knock him off, so he's not a two-time reigning champion of this. This has become a big race. So who you got for IndyCar this week?
Well, let it go back. I picked this guy a few times. He's done well for me. Alex Palou.
That's 2 for 2, low-hanging fruit in the IndyCar. I'm going Alex Palou as well. He's been
point leader.
He's been the best car on all the road courses and street courses. I mean, you can't really go wrong with him.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting how Joseph Newgarden handles these street courses, because he's slowly cut into that lead over the last couple ovals. So see him if he's able to beat Alex at these road courses. We'll see. All right, heading to the final one, the big one. The NASCAR at Michigan, doubleheader with Xfinity and the Cup Series. Michigan, I think it's gotten so much better, and these new cars as well. They put on a heck of a show.
Yeah, these cars just like the short track racing at Richmond, which is usually a track I look forward to. These cars just do not put on a good show on these short tracks for whatever reason. I don't know why. So I mean, they've been good on the mile and a half. They've been good on the super speedways. And this is sort of, you got 2 mile kind of races like a super speedway a little bit, but not quite. So I think you're going to get one of two things. You're going to get somebody that's going to get run out and stink up the place by about 10 seconds, or it's going to be a close battle for most of the race. And you might even see a little bit of both throughout the day. You might see somebody early run away with it, and as they work on their cars, they get them a lot closer the last, 50,
I think you'll see. I
laps.
think you'll see more of a dominating race with an Xfinity with those cars that they've shown that somebody gets out to the lead in the clean air in those cars, they can actually extend that lead 4 or 5 seconds at least on these big tracks. That's if there's no cautions, which there might not be as many cautions at Michigan. You got bigger track, room to move around. Tires will be a big thing, and I know fuel mileage has been a big thing in Michigan before.
Yeah, that's happened several times in the Cup cars. I can remember. I don't remember who it was. I mean, they were pushing the clutch and shutting the thing off, and
might have sounds like Brad Kay.
I was thinking it was Brad. Yeah,
I think he's won there because I know it's his home track. I want to say he's.
Yeah,
won
I know. Me and your mom were just talking about that. I was like, I don't know if he's ever won there or not. That's I know if he hasn't, that's definitely high on his list.
Yeah. All right. Well, Xfinity just had a first-time winner, Sad Mare, and the first-time winner of the season was Chris Buescher in the Cup Series. Starting to get to the desperate times, and you might see a bunch of gambles. So, starting off with Xfinity, who you got for Xfinity, and possibly you trying to take a gamble and get a win?
I don't believe he's got a win this year, but he is a winner. Josh Berry.
I think he has a win this year.
Did he win one?
I believe so. I don't remember where it was.
Okay.
I know he's won this year because I know he's in the. I think all except Brandon Jones, all JR Motorsports are locked in the playoffs now, but I think he's in the points running for it. I think. I didn't look up the updated one. All right. Well, I've got this is not a dark horse. It's again probably the low hanging fruit again in the Xfinity Series. I can't really go against him. John Hunter Nemechek.
Yep.
The Joe Gibbs cars are super fast this year. I thought this would be a year dominated by Junior Motorsports, but I think Joe Gibbs has showcased how fast their cars are. But then you got Austin Hill winning races too, so it's been a lot more even racing and everything than I thought there would be with who gets the wins and everything. So, yep, John Hunter for my pick. Going on to the Cup Series at Michigan. Yeah, this used to be the race that was always at on Father's Day weekend, and it was actually pretty cool to watch, especially when Junior would win a few years ago. So that was even better. But I think these cars will show once again they can race on these big tracks like this and put on great shows.
Yeah.
Who you got for the Cup race at Michigan?
Yeah. This guy's been fast, and as long as they don't do something stupid and shoot themselves in the foot, he's been fast every week. Toyota driver, Kyler Reddick.
Yep, and that's the thing. They seem to be shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
She's telling me her pick too. I'm going with the hometown guy. Their team just came off a big win with Chris Buescher. I'm going with Brad Keselowski.
That's Mom's pick. Mom picked Brad K.
And with that pick, it sounds like she's about done with the show too. So, all right, we got that in this week, Dan. We'll definitely see you next week. Anybody got any questions? Comment down below. If you want to question her, you're more welcome to shoot a comment to her as well.
We should put her on the show. She'll get more likes.
Go ahead and like and subscribe down below. Follow anywhere you get your social media. Dad, we'll see you next week for the Knoxville Nationals.
All righty. Bye, everybody.